Ari, I know you're a big Garrett Nussmeier fan, have been all season. He faces a huge challenge this week as Alabama comes to Tiger Stadium. The winner of this game alive for the college football playoff. The loser probably out. So no pressure, Garrett Nussmeier, other than, all of it. This is going to be a fun one.
I know we're going to have some stats presented in this video, Andy, and we didn't have a little cheat sheet that you're going to be looking off of, but I don't know. Have you looked up how many passing yards Nussmeier had against A&M? Like, do you know off the top of your head? Okay, so
I do know. Yeah.
So Nussmeier's worst half of football occurred in that game of the year, right?
Yeah.
Like, he melted down in that game. And, like, listen, we came into last weekend's game or the week before talking about how Nussmeier could play himself into the first round of the NFL draft discussion, right? Like, we know that this guy has the skill set to being one of the best players in the sport. And I almost felt like he let me down a little bit in the Texas A&M game because the interceptions and the questionable decisions that he made when the Aggies turned up the pressure just was not a good look. So I'm very interested to see how he responds in a season-defining game. As bad as things have gone for LSU in 2 games, if they beat Alabama on Saturday, they're right back in the thick of this playoff discussion and sitting pretty in the SEC. So it's a very big spot for him at home in front of his home fans against a really good team to show that LSU should be taken seriously this year.
So Garrett Nussmeier's passing yardage prize picks number is 288.5. And if you're not playing prize picks, what are you doing? It is the most fun daily fantasy game in America. If you sign up now and use the code Staples and you play $5, you get $50 instantly. The way you play it is you're picking squares. There's a player, a stat categories attached to it. We're talking college football, but obviously you can play the NFL, you can play the NBA, you can play when there's a big darts competition, esports, they got it all. We're talking Garrett Nussmeier right now, and his square is 288.5 yards. So do you think he'll throw for more than that or less than that? And Ari, he has thrown for more than that total in 4 of the past 5 games. The one he didn't, and it's interesting that you brought up what he did in the A&M game, which was a game LSU lost, which was a game that Texas A&M took over in the second half. The Arkansas game, he only threw for 233, but that was a game LSU had in hand the entire time. I don't think LSU is going to have this game in hand the entire time. I think they're going to need Garrett Nussmeier to throw them to a win. So if you think LSU is going to win this game, you're on the more than.
Yeah. And it also probably feels a little bit better too, Andy, that offense is going to be needed on both sides of the ball in this game. Like, I think that LSU is not going to be in the position where it has any possessions where the goal is not scoring a touchdown instead of trying to work clock and get some first downs. Like, they're going to need to score, and they're going to need his best effort. Now, Alabama's defense has been great at times this year, and it has been susceptible at times. Like, the thing that I think about, Andy, a lot is in the Tennessee game a few weeks ago that they lost, like, Nico wasn't on target, but Tennessee's receivers got behind Alabama's DBs, I think, 5 times in that game. Where they could have hit him for a 60, 70, 80-yard play. And the passes were off the marks. They weren't able to complete those. But the fact that the separation was there makes me feel pretty good about what Nussmeier can do if he can spread the ball around to his receivers.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a shootout in this game. I don't know who's going to win. The spread is tight. The stakes are incredibly high. It's going to be a great game to watch as a viewer. But if we're talking about Garrett Nussmeier and the number he puts up, I bet that number is pretty darn big. So we'll have to wait and see. Tiger Stadium Saturday night is going to be rocking.